Hey guys, it's Pedro back with another interview covering Dreamhack Dallas, talking to various people from all walks of life. For this occasion, I have here with me Friday, a pretty strange name, but one that they feel comfortable in using for their career. Well, Friday, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good, okay. I'm experiencing this all for the first time, so it's pretty crazy, but I'm feeling good. A little nervous, got some panels today, but aside from that, I'm good.
Well, panels, what are you going to do on those panels?
So there's a Collegiate Voices panel where students are going to talk about their experiences and things like that, which I'm a panelist for. And then there's going to be a Finance in Success panel at 3:30, and that's hosted by Cope, and I'll be moderating that. So, you know, a little bit different than being a panelist. And then there's a panel tomorrow at the Intel booth for women in gaming, so that's going to be exciting.
Well, for sure. You're going to be on both sides of the spectrum, and on the panel side. And sort of talk to me about this being like your first Dreamhack. Going a little bit into that, how are you taking in this entire scene? What's your impression? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Or maybe not hate it?
So this was honestly like a spur of the moment thing for me. I went to PAX, which was so much fun. And then from there, a lot of my friends were like, yeah, we usually go to Dreamhack too. And I was like, I've never been, I've heard about it. And they were like, since, they knew that I'm into esports and things like that, they were like, this is going to be right up your alley. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it and see how it goes. And it's insane. It's a huge space. First of all, there's arenas here that I didn't even know about that are not even in this main area. But I'm honestly trying to soak it all in. There's so much going on, and I know I'm very plugged into my phone a lot, but I'm trying to be present in the moment and meet people, talk to people, just because I think being in the same space with a bunch of people from the same community is incredible. And so taking that opportunity and living in it.
All right, so I got to ask the obligatory, why is your name Friday? Why do you call yourself Friday?
So I had my name Kath as my in-game name for Overwatch.
Yeah.
And at that time, I wasn't very comfortable with using my real name because I was getting called out for being a woman. And at that time, I wasn't as, I think, strong as I am now about the fact that, I am a woman in this industry. But I definitely was, nervous to keep playing games because I did not want to face this sort of harassment I was starting to get. And so when I moved over to Valorant, I was like, what's a good name that I could, a name that's not stereotypically for one gender, you know what I'm saying? So it was a very gender neutral name. And so I have done table reads with my friend because he writes films and scripts, and one of the characters is named Naomi Madeline Friday, and he asked me to play her and read for her, and over time she had just kind of become a part of me. But this is back in high school, and we never filmed anything like that, but she was very close to my heart, and so I was like, Friday would be a really sick name to have as an in-game name, because I've always wanted to have one of those usernames that people call you by, so I chose Friday, and now we're here.
Yeah, I made it a point, and when it came to scheduling everything, to do it on a Friday, so that way we could.
No, I loved it. I was so happy. Literally, Dreamhack posted, tweeted today, being like, "Do you know what day it is?" And I responded with the smirking emoji because I was like, "Friday, my name."
For sure. You mentioned a little bit of just doing Overwatch and a little bit of Valorant. What was that? Was Overwatch the first game that you kind of played in general?
So I've grown up playing video games, but when I built my PC, the first FPS game was Overwatch. Granted, I didn't. So embarrassing to admit. For about the first week and a half, 2-3 weeks maybe, I didn't know how to reload, so I would just shoot all the bullets out of the gun and let it reload for me, which is so embarrassing to admit, but that's the reality. But besides Minecraft and Animal Crossing, Overwatch was one of the first games that I really kind of got into, that brought me into the scene of meeting people and playing with people and having multiplayer co-op games that sort of set the tone for that.
And then that led to you being in esports, right?
Yeah, so after Overwatch, I transitioned over into Valorant a bit more, and from there, it was, this was during COVID, and so there weren't any in-person tournaments happening, but it was the start of VCT, and I was like, I had no idea this world existed. I thought it was sick, and so from there, I really started following along with more of like what Valorant was doing in terms of like, their esports events and things like that. And I was like, oh, I like this. I was like, this is cool. So yeah, I was kind of start for that.
Oh, for sure. You meant I don't believe I mentioned your current occupation. So going a little bit deeper into that, what exactly do you do? What is your position?
So right now I'm a collegiate leader for Emerson Esports. I work as their internal communications manager. This is coming after my presidency because I served my year-long term, which was amazing. But I basically am trying to expand esports at Emerson. Collegiate esports is something I'm passionate about. That's why I'm speaking on the panel today. But aside from that, I help out with various different organizations. So College Esports News, I was a project manager, and now I work with talent with them. I help out with the Coalition of Parents in Esports, which is COPE. And I'm also like a Gamers ambassador for a collegiate ambassador, which is amazing. So helping spread their initiative and their message. So I do dabble in a couple different areas, but that's how I'm here.
It's tough. I would say it's tough, right? Because doing everything at once. Because as someone that covers a lot of games within the esports side, I do understand that it's kind of tough sometimes to like do that. So have you ever found like any difficulties in just trying to manage so many things at once?
Oh, absolutely. Like after PAX, I was finishing up school and finals, but I had at least a couple different meetings every day happening, and I was overwhelmed, but I work well under pressure. I think I've come to learn about myself, and I really love working and helping like causes and things that I believe in. And so it's like, yes, sometimes I feel booked and busy, but I love it because you know what I'm saying. And the same thing as when I was president for Emerson Esports, I was stressed out. Like it took all of my attention 24/7 aside from school, but I loved it. It was like it's what I care about, and helping students and growing the program. Like that's what matters to me. So I was okay with it. So despite the chaos, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, in case you were wondering, there was somebody that was waving behind you, just waving at the camera. So it was kind of funny. So yeah. That said, every person has their own goals. Every person has an ideal area in which they want to fulfill. What's your ultimate goal? What do you kind of look at as like your end-all be-all goal?
End-all be-all goal. I think about this a lot as someone who's dabbled in various different things with this industry and still honestly trying to find my place. I would say one of the overall goals for me consistently has just been to further. We've gotten better at making this space and industry safer for women and other marginalized genders, but we're just not there yet. And I really do want to further that message. And there are certain initiatives that have been happening with game changers and things like that, creating certain spaces that are really just for women and other marginalized genders. And with the overall goal of one day everything, them feeling like it's a space that they can all be part of, like having more women and marginalized genders represented in VCT itself, like you know what I'm saying? And so I would like to continue to cultivate that sort of environment just because that's really what got me here, and I want to continue to spread that same sort of message around.
Well, I gotta ask, what do you feel is the one thing that still is the biggest obstacle facing women within the gaming / esports space that you feel needs to be looked at much more than most?
I would say there's a lot of, right now specifically too, Valorant's dealing with a lot of in-game toxicity that's been circulating. I honestly think that the issue at hand really goes back to the development of games and how games were created. A lot of the times these characters that were women were overly sexualized and things on that note. And so that took this, I wrote a human rights research paper on this, so that's why I'm passionate about it. And that sort of transitioned into this idea that there was like inferiority and that it was a male-dominated, and that's how it became a male-dominated space. And so it really goes back to that core idea of gamers and gaming and what is considered real games. Like I think a lot of the times, even in certain interviews to be part of game developing companies, they say, oh, but what real games do you play? You're telling me Stardew Valley isn't a real game? It is most certainly a real video game, and it's like changing that language and understanding that gamers are not all supposed to look the same or be the same, or you know what I'm saying? Like we're all supposed to be different. And so I think understanding that there's not one such such thing as what a real game is. And changing that sort of language, and I think that's been a huge barrier for so many women and marginalized genders, is because they feel, oh, they're not going to get these jobs because there's not women in higher management roles, or they don't play any real games, and that kicks a lot of women and other marginalized genders from feeling like they can even try and step in, because they're like, they automatically exit off if they don't have someone, mentors, to kind of help show them what the industry is like, if they don't see other people that represent them in this, so I think changing that language and sort of the barriers to entry and eliminating those, for sure, has been a huge thing.
No, for sure. Do you have like a better way to word this question is your current position, what you currently do? Do you have any other position that you kind of do on top of just the things that you've been talking about so far?
Yeah, so, I mean, my family owns a bookstore, so I like, my family,
Bookstore?
Bookstore, yeah. My family owns a bookstore, and so, I help out, obviously, part of the family business and things like that. And, I have a couple internships and things like that. Esports has been the main thing to kind of just, like, carry me as a person, but, I do still love diversifying, my knowledge and things like that. So, helping out with the bookstore, internships in marketing and product management, which is cool, which I'm learning a lot about, but really esports has my heart at the moment.
For sure, same thing can be said for me, and hopefully we can continue this journey, respective journeys later on in the future. That said, with all of the things that you've been saying and your occupation, the things that you do, the things that you're doing, the things that you're planning on doing, the things that you've done in the past, what keeps you going?
I think the biggest thing that keeps me going is when I see other people, I think, impacted in a positive way by what's going on. Fun things happening. But like when I've helped out with events and I get to see people smile, or when people come up to me and they tell me that they've been practicing their Just Dance skills at home so that they can participate in the event. Obviously anyone at any skill level of Just Dance can participate in those sorts of activities, but specifically feeling like, oh, this is an environment where like I can get involved with and that sort of thing. And I think it's really, honestly, it all boils down to other people and helping other people and doing something for others besides myself is always the main thing. Like, I didn't have an idea of what all of this was like when I was younger, and I wish I did, honestly, but I'm glad that I'm here now. And it's like, that's why, I really am excited to be working with the Coalition of Parents in Esports, because I think that so many parents don't understand that there's so many different opportunities in this industry, and like if there are people that I can help give opportunities to and help kind of get their foot in and see what this is all like, I want to do that. So
For sure. Excellent story that you told me. I really do appreciate you taking the time. You got any final words to give to anyone in the world?
Take risks and learn from others, ask questions. Learning people's perspectives on things and their experiences will help you as a person, and so don't be afraid of that. Reach out to people. I know it can be scary. I'm a very energetic, talkative person, but even I get scared reaching out to people, but I promise there are so many people who want to share their stories with you and want to help you. So don't be afraid to do that and do what you love.
And hopefully you continue to do that later on in the future. Friday, thank you so much for taking the time. Really do appreciate it.